And I got a great topic for today. Today we're gonna talk about starting before you're ready. So go ahead and lock in with me, man, and enjoy this talk real quick. But yeah, starting before you're ready. Raw action solves all problems, man. You got to start at some point. If you sit and tell yourself, hey, I'm gonna start doing push-ups tomorrow, you need to start tomorrow. Don't let that alarm hit, and then you wake up in the morning, you're tired, and you're like, you know what? Well, I can just start tomorrow, or I can start the next day, and the next day. And what tends to happen, man, is you keep telling yourself excuses, and eventually it's gonna become your reality, right? Words are very, very powerful. So you have to watch what you say about yourself and, what you say to other people, right? So if you want to start working out today, you should never say at any point during today, oh man, I can't work out, man, it's too hard. Because now your body's going to respond and listen to what you're saying. But if you tell yourself, you know what, man, I'm going to go ahead and get through this workout. Yeah, it was tough, but I got better today. You see how much more positive that sounds? So you have to learn to speak positivity in yourself. You'll start to get more positive results. I can use myself as an example. I remember when I was younger, right? I was like 10 years old. And I wasn't in the gym yet because I didn't really start lifting weights until I was about like 13 years old. So a little later. But my dad would have me do, push-ups and sit-ups every night. It was 4 sets of 20 for my push-ups, and it was like 3 sets of 20 for my sit-ups, right? And he had me do them like Monday through Friday or Monday through Saturday, and I would always get Sundays off, right? And I remember doing them, and I'm like, what is he trying to teach? Because there were some times, right, where it was like, man, I really don't feel like doing it, but it's like, I know I got to do it, man, because if I want to be the best athlete, or the best athlete I can be, man, I got to do this stuff, right? But that's the only thing I thought that, the push-ups and sit-ups were. Like, I didn't, think they were about anything else, right? So I remember I was doing it for about, I would say, a year, almost a year at this point, right? And I remember there was one time my dad came in and he was like, because I would work out in the garage, obviously, because we had like floor mats and things like that. And I was doing my push-ups and sit-ups. And he asked me, he was like, how many sets are you doing today? And I was like, yeah, Dad, I usually do 4 sets, but I'm bumping up to 5. I'm doing 5 sets of 20 now. I'm not doing 3 sets of 20 for the sit-ups. I'm doing 4 sets of 20 now. And I remember his face. He just started smiling. He said, now you got it. And I'm sitting there like, what are you talking about? He said, yes, I was developing, you getting stronger, to prepare you for the weights at some point. But I was really preparing you for the mindset. He was saying that the mindset is what's going to take you further in life, and is what's going to ultimately, allow you to persevere through tough moments when the body can't physically. And I'm like, dang, that makes so much sense. So ever since from that point on, I've always known to just start. And once you start, you'll get to a point of understanding. The problem is people are doing it backwards. You're trying to find the understanding before you're even starting. It doesn't even make sense. You're never gonna understand or completely understand whatever you want to learn unless you do it. You'll never become an expert in whatever you want to be in until you actually do it, right? And I know it's like, dang, man, well, yeah, obviously, but it's like, that's not how most people live, man. It's not. I'll give you another example, right? Let's say you want to be really good at cutting lawns, right? I'm just throwing a wild example. You want to be really good at cutting lawns. You want to start your own mowing business, right? And you're doing all the research. You're looking for the items you need. You're looking for all the mowers you need. And you're just over-analyzing instead of just saying, you know what? Okay, let me look online. Buy me something small, a small mower, just to start, a push mower. Maybe offer to cut somebody's yard, a small yard, and then go from there. And by doing that, you'll start to learn what you need. You'll learn, okay, this is why I can't do this, or this is why I can do this, instead of, oh man, I can't start yet, I don't have the best equipment. And one last example I'll give you, right? I have a cousin who started YouTube, it was about a year ago, right? And they had been talking about, you know, doing or making a YouTube channel, doing a podcast for about 4 years. And they didn't start until last year. And one thing I learned was the reason why they did not start was because they were waiting on the perfect time. They said, well, I don't have the best equipment. I don't have the best this. And I was like, okay. I said, why do you need the best equipment? You can just start. You can just use your phone, right? And they were like, nah, because, you know, I saw this streamer and they use this equipment. And that brings me to my second point. You have to learn to stop comparing yourself. This is another problem of why people are struggling with starting something before they are ready. You're comparing yourself to people who have 30 years of experience, or 20 years, 5 or even 5 years, right, ahead of you or more than you. So of course they're gonna have better equipment. Of course they're gonna have, you know, more knowledge or understanding of, you know, what they're doing. It's supposed to be like that. So you have to understand, right? When you're starting something, you're supposed to come in and not know, you know, as much as people who have been there, right? But in order for you to get to that point, you have to start. Raw action is the solution, not just sitting. Because when you sit, everybody passes you by. First is a couple months, then it's a year, then it's 2 years, now it's 5, now it's 10. And then you'll get to a point, right, where it's like, man, I had this crazy idea when I was 20 years old or 25 years old. And I'm sitting here, man, I'm 50 years old and I still haven't started. So you never want to get in that position, man. So I just want to talk with y'all about that. I think it's a really good topic. You know, I had to get it off my chest. So if you want to see more, man, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. And I'm out, man. Peace.